The film opens by introducing Victor Frankenstein, a young medical student driven by a fervent desire to achieve something great in life. One night, Victor visits the circus where he witnesses a beautiful young aerialist performing. During her act, she suffers a severe fall from a great height, sustaining serious injuries. Working there as a clown is a young man named Igor, who is hunched over due to a spinal deformity and cannot walk straight. Igor is secretly in love with the aerialist. Seeing her struggling to breathe after the fall, Igor is able to diagnose and fix her problem instantly, demonstrating an innate, deep understanding of human anatomy. He had acquired this extensive knowledge through tireless self-study, primarily focused on finding a cure for his own curvature. Despite lacking a formal degree, he possesses the knowledge of a seasoned doctor. Igor swiftly saves the girl's life, and she begins to breathe normally again. Victor Frankenstein, having observed the entire ordeal, is astonished. He approaches Igor and asks, "How did you do all that?" Igor explains that he has read countless books. Victor then tells Igor, "You are wasting your time in this circus. Come with me, and I'll give you a new life." The circus owner overhears this conversation and is furious that Igor wishes to leave. He locks Igor in a cage and threatens him, saying, "If you try to leave, I'll call the police. You are my property, and all the anatomical knowledge you boast about came from stolen books. The police will arrest you." Before long, Victor Frankenstein arrives, frees Igor from the cage, and they attempt to escape. The other circus performers spot them and give chase. After a difficult struggle, Victor successfully rescues Igor and brings him safely back to his home. Immediately, Victor uses a series of injections and treatments to drain the pus and infection from Igor's back. This procedure corrects Igor's posture, and he recovers. For the first time, he is able to stand straight. Igor is no longer a hunchback and can walk upright. Meanwhile, a police officer begins an investigation into a series of local murders and Igor's sudden disappearance. Victor confides in Igor that he is working on an experiment called the reversal of death, believing he can bring dead humans or animals back to life. "But I need to do much more, and I need your help," he says. He then shows Igor a container with human eyeballs. When he applies an electric current to them, the eyes begin to move. Igor, being exceptionally clever, corrects a mistake made by Victor, pointing out that the nerves in the eyes were not correctly wired. Victor is delighted that his error has been spotted, becomes extremely impressed by Igor's intellect, and immediately hires Igor as his assistant. The two men dedicate themselves to the process of animating dead animal parts. They plan to construct a gigantic chimpanzee from various body parts, essentially creating a monster. Their goal is to push science to its next frontier. After a long session, Victor and Igor attend a party. There, Igor unexpectedly meets the beautiful aerialist from the circus again. She doesn't recognize him, but Igor's affection for her remains strong. Victor warns Igor to keep his distance from the girl. She is a distraction. If your attention is focused on her, you won't be able to concentrate on the work, he states. Later, they return home. It is here that we first see the monstrous chimpanzee, connected to a complex array of electrical wires. It's time to supply the power. They channel a large surge of electricity to reanimate the dead chimpanzee. Igor is apprehensive, but his confusion turns to awe when the dead chimpanzee begins to move. Their experiment is a success. The next day, Victor Frankenstein takes the chimpanzee to his university to unveil their discovery. Initially, the demonstration is a failure, but after a moment of intense effort, the chimpanzee comes to life. However, upon animation, the creature becomes violent, attacking and injuring people. Seeing this, Victor kills the creature he created. Victor is subsequently expelled from the university for his unorthodox methods. He is approached by some wealthy classmates who tell him, "Continue your experiments, and we will provide the financial backing." They task him with creating artificial humanoids, creatures that can be customized to their specifications and serve various purposes. They offer a significant sum of money. Igor is reluctant to work with these individuals, but Victor dismisses his opinion and accepts the offer from his affluent classmates. Igor, indebted to Victor for giving him a new life, correcting his spine and saving him, agrees to support him. The following day, the police officer and his men arrive at Victor's house to investigate the case. They had learned about the attempted reanimation of the chimpanzee at the university. However, Victor denies them entry as they lack a search warrant, and they leave in frustration. Later, Igor meets the aerialist he loves. She urges him to convince Victor to stop these dangerous experiments, warning, otherwise, he will create a monster again. They spend some time together. On his way back, Igor sees the same police officer and his men attempting to break down the door of the house. Igor enters through another door and tells Victor to flee. "Your investor classmate has made arrangements for our escape," Igor says. Victor, however, refuses to leave and begins destroying all his machinery. He doesn't want his research to fall into anyone else's hands. By this time, the police officer enters and tries to stop them at gunpoint, but they persist. A struggle ensues between Victor and the officer. After a fierce fight, Victor pushes the police officer away, and the officer's arm gets caught in a large gear, severing his hand. The police officer loses an arm. The two then escape in a carriage and travel to meet their financier friend, who gives them more money. "Continue with my project and create an artificial man," he instructs. He then tells them to relocate to Scotland for safety. "I have a family bungalow there, you can work freely," he offers. Igor pleads with Victor once more to abandon the project, but Victor is adamant. He leaves for Scotland to continue his experiments. As soon as Victor departs, the investor approaches Igor and reveals his true plan: "I will kill Victor when the experiment is complete. I plan to use the artificial man he creates as a weapon. Since it will be artificial, it won't be affected by bullets, no one can kill it, and it will obey my commands." After this chilling confession, the investor has Igor's hands and feet bound and throws him into the water. Igor struggles mightily, manages to loosen his restraints, and saves himself. After escaping, Igor goes to the aerialist and tells her, "Victor's life is in danger, we must save him." The two of them set off for Scotland to save Victor. Upon arriving, Igor tells Victor everything. "You're being betrayed, and your life is in danger," Igor warns. Despite this, Victor insists on continuing the experiment, revealing a secret: "My elder brother died in a thunderstorm years ago." Victor blames himself for his brother's death, and admits that he is trying to use this experiment to bring his brother back to life. Soon after, the investor and the police officer arrive. Victor is in the middle of his experiment. A large electrical overload occurs during the process, generating enormous amounts of electricity, which causes widespread damage. Their machine explodes, killing the investor. The police officer confronts Victor, saying, "You are behind all this destruction. All of this is happening because of you." Amidst the confrontation, the created monster rises and begins to move. Victor is thrilled that his experiment has succeeded. Victor tries to speak to the monster, telling him, "You are my brother." But the monster remains unresponsive, standing still. The police officer is terrified, realizing the creature is dangerous. He pulls out his gun and shoots the monster. This causes the monster pain, and it retaliates by attacking and killing the officer. The monster then turns on Victor and Igor, fighting them and inflicting injuries. However, after a difficult battle, the two of them manage to work together and kill the monster there and then. In the final scene, Victor is shown sitting by the seashore. He writes a letter to Igor, granting him permission to see the aerialist who Victor had previously forbidden him from seeing. Victor also uses the letter to apologize to Igor for not listening to him when he tried to dissuade him multiple times. The film ends with this scene.